5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Man, I fucking forgot to press record, Grady. Can you believe that shit?
I can believe it.
But anyway, yo, I'm in the Flyhigh podcast with my guy Grady right now. As I said earlier, don't have that many white friends. Black History Month started off with a white guy. I did this all just a few seconds ago, but I didn't press record like a dickhead. So that's my fault, ladies and gents. Grady just was telling me the story about Wendy's. I don't feel like telling it again because I don't want to bore him too much. But anyway, off that topic, bro.
Yeah.
Do you hunt?
Do I hunt?
Yeah.
Back home, not really so much. I mostly just go out and shoot gophers and small game, squirrels and stuff like that.
But you can't eat that though, can you?
No, I just shoot it for fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, I want to go hunting so badly. And all my friends back home, because they're ignorant to the fact that meat is processed. You know what I mean? And that meat you buy in the store is super unhealthy technically. That's why a lot of people are going vegetarian, because they don't understand that meat gives you benefits that you can't get from vegetables and shit like that.
Yeah, you want some of that like venison and what else?
Yeah, venison and shit like that.
My friends do that all the time back home. It's just a way of life.
Exactly.
Hunting. I never really gone, but I could if they wanted me to.
Why don't you hunt, Grades?
I don't know, man. Just never had the reason to. I don't really. I'm vegetarian myself.
So you're vegetarian?
Yeah, so I don't really eat the meat, so it's kind of like pointless for me to go hunting. But I will shoot gophers and stuff just because it's fun to shoot things.
Man, I don't. That's like a lifestyle that you can't even get in New York, bro. Like, you know how hard it is to get a gun in New York, especially a rifle.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe maybe I think handguns are actually the hardest.
Well, are we talking legally or illegally?
I mean, illegally you can get anything in the world.
Yeah,
illegally it's easy, but to legally get a handgun, and first off, you start shooting squirrels. ASPCA's on your ass or some shit like that.
Well, I don't know about you, but I actually have a handgun permit.
Really?
Yeah, let me pull it out.
Oh, let me see that thing, Grades. What? Concealed weapon permit. Where'd you get this one?
So I'm from the state of Montana, and in the state of Montana, you have to be 18 to get your concealed weapon permit. Whereas Tennessee, where we are right now, you have to be 21. So I got this when I was 20. I turn 21 tomorrow, so I got it before the legal age in Tennessee, but I can carry a gun in Tennessee because Tennessee has what's called reciprocity with the state of Montana. So I can carry in Montana and 32 other states.
Really?
Yeah, with this permit, if I wanted to.
So run up on Grady, you're getting your ass blown back. In other words. Damn, bro. But see, why do you think other states haven't like made guns more legal? I mean, I understand to a certain extent, keep guns away because this and the third, like, destroys mass shooting. But it's like, if everybody has a gun and you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does that make you stack up? Like, there's bad guys with guns. Don't you need good guys with guns too?
That's the problem a lot of people don't think about, is the whole logic of more guns is a safer society. A lot of people disagree with that on such a deep level. They're like, no, more guns equals more shootings. I don't think that would happen. I think we don't have mass shootings very much in the West and in high gun ownership areas because people know they're probably going to get shot. No one really wants to get shot themselves.
Exactly.
That's why people go shoot up schools, because school kids aren't armed. You know?
Exactly.
But if they go into like
a gun club
or something like that, that's just dumb.
Exactly. You put yourself in a pretty bad situation, walk up in a gun club.
Shooting up school kids in churches is much easier because you assume people aren't going to be armed there.
But if people are armed there, for instance, that time, there was a recent church shooting.
Yeah, the one in Texas?
Yeah, where the guy started chasing them out with the gun. You know what I mean? And that could have gotten way messier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could have gone way messier, but luckily some people were there that were armed that could help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't have to be afraid of later on the cops are going to come up to them and be like, oh, well, you had a gun, so you got to get arrested too. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of situations like that back home. It's like you shoot somebody, but to protect yourself, but you have to shoot them when they're facing you. You have to make sure that your permits are on you and all that.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rules depending on the state you're in. I know I can't speak quite on the state of Tennessee, but I know for the state of Montana that technically, I can shoot someone the second they step on my property if I felt like it.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing anything, I can shoot them. Well, that's kind of a dick move. I'm not really gonna do that. But we do not have to back down, sort of a thing. We don't have to try to retreat. It's good. It'll help you in court if you do. I think it's the same way here in Tennessee, that if someone's like, say you're gonna try to attack me, it's better for me to try to leave the situation than trying to shoot you. But if I have to shoot you, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, in the crime in Montana is pretty low, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have crime for sure, but violent crime, like you're saying, and mass shootings and stuff like that's pretty low.
Pretty low, right?
Drug crime is high, but that's how it is all around the country.
All around sadly. Even around here, I'll be going down some areas, I'll be like, oh my God, I'm not getting out the car. Because there's definitely some meth head around the corner waiting to stick somebody up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bro, it's crazy. Like back home, it's crack. Like people that are doing crack and heroin and that stuff like that. Here, it's like meth is big, bro.
Yeah, no, Montana actually has the highest meth usage per capita of any state. So we have it worse.
On some Breaking Bad shit. Like.
Yeah, it's really, well, like there'll be meth labs out in the woods and stuff. Yeah. And I've run across things that I thought were drug labs in the woods before, where you find like weird shit out there, like chemicals, and, like weird gas cans full of powder. And, like, what did I just walk into?
Exactly.
I'm about to get shot.
See, isn't that crazy how you have a gun, but yet you still in the back of your mind, it's like, fuck, like I'm out here in the worst of the worst environments, and I'm still worried about getting shot.
If you get shot in the woods, no one's gonna know. It's like when a tree falls in the wood, does anyone hear it? No.
Exactly.
I get shot in the woods.
Exactly. But off that topic, we were talking the other day about some serious shit like that you put me on to, bro, and I was like, what the fuck? How does Grady even know about this? But you are a part of the Liberalism Club.
Libertarian
Club.
Well, technically, we're not the Libertarian Club. So we are the Young Americans for Liberty as our local chapter. Okay. But a lot of us are libertarians. And I'm actually a registered member of the Libertarian Party.
He busted out another card.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah.
And do you, like, are there perks with this? Or is it just something that you're into?
Well, so being a member of the party means that I can vote on things inter-party. So we have national conventions that happen every year. And they're doing the 2018 one in New Orleans. So if I wanted to, I could show up and be like, hey, I'm a member, and be involved in the voting process of the things that happen within the party. Yeah. That's the perk of just being a member of the party itself. Of course, you're in the loop. If you're a member of the party, you're probably pretty intensely into it.
Okay. And basically, so in a nutshell, Grady is pretty politically aware. Yeah. And he was telling me, you tell him, Grady, you tell me about that thing you were telling me about. That line.
Well, what thing specifically? I mean,
there was that line. You were talking about the line that they were saying votes within this part of the.
Oh, you're talking about North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gerrymandering.
Yeah.
The black voters.
Put them on, bro. Put them on to game.
Yeah, well, there's a voting district in North Carolina where it looks like a river or something. It goes from one end of it to another end.
Google it, gerrymandering.
Well, gerrymandering is a term. I forget what the term is for the North Carolina district. But if you look up like North Carolina, like segregated voting district or something like that, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's there. And you'll find it runs from one side of the state to the other, and it's just this tiny little strip. And it's where the highest population of black voters are in the state. Because the idea of gerrymandering, right, is say we've got 5 districts, and each of the district has the same amount of people in it, right? But say 3 out of the 5 districts, those people generally vote Democrat, and 2 out of the 5, they generally vote Republican. Well, if the Republicans are in power, what they're going to do is they're going to redraw the district lines to get as many Republican voters, say, in 4 of the districts. So they redraw the districts in these weird-ass shapes. So that 4 of them have a majority Republicans, and only 1 of them is going to vote Democrat. And that's what they've done in North Carolina with the black voters, because black voters typically vote Democrat. Yeah. And so they've said, okay, we're just giving up this area. We're going to draw this area, and we're just going to give up on it. And then we're going to focus on all these other ones that we've cut out that are mostly rural white communities that will vote Republican.
So basically, for those who didn't follow, well, great, I feel like he explained it pretty well. But basically, if you live in the black communities, some black communities in North Carolina.
And it's not just North Carolina. This happens all over the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in New York?
I'm sure it does. If you looked at the district map of New York, the state or the city itself, even.
Well, they might cut out Republicans because New York is a Democrat
and
state.
that'll happen. It'll whatever party is in power will try to cut out the other one.
Really?
So it's basically like playing with proportions and moving proportions back and forth, trying to find the perfect line where like the more people who live on this side of the line will vote your way versus the people who live on this side of the line, and you're pushing the line to try to fit the most people who will vote your way.
Yeah. And if you live within that area, your vote doesn't count.
It doesn't really matter because say you're a conservative in that little black district in North Carolina, you're probably not going to make that big of an influence.
Yeah.
Versus if the lines are drawn fairly, it would be more representative.
But isn't that the same thing like that got like the Electoral College, right? Isn't it kind of like the same thing? Because our votes technically don't matter anyway, really.
Well, the Electoral College is different. The way the Electoral College works is it's only really for the president. So the way that it works is certain states have a certain amount of Electoral College votes based off of the amount of senators they have and representatives they have. So we have a bicameral Congress, which means it has two houses. You have one house is called the Senate. Every state gets 2 senators, and that's just across the board. Everyone gets 2. So there's 100 people in the Senate. The House of Representatives is based off of the state's population. So my state, Montana, has 1 guy because we're tiny.
Yeah.
Versus the state of New York has, I don't know exactly. I think it's 20, 30 something.
Really?
Guys. I don't know. It's a big number though because it's got a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that if we voted versus the popular vote, the states in the middle of the country with the least amount of population would get screwed by the states on the coasts because they have all the people.
Yeah.
So let's say we just ditched the Electoral College and went straight to popular votes. People like Hillary Clinton would automatically become president because the East Coast and the West Coast are heavily populated and they're very liberal in politics. And then everybody else in the middle would be screwed. Yeah. So what the Electoral College does is it was a way of protecting minorities, protecting political minorities. And so it gives the states in the middle some weight.
Some more weight.
Some more weight.
But then you got to think about it like this, though. Like, for instance, right? I know for New York, do you feel like it is a better representation of diversity in the country versus someplace like Wisconsin?
If you're talking about skin color diversity, sure. But
not skin color. I mean just like
ideology. I think New York is very ideological different, especially you go upper state.
Yeah, exactly.
And city and all that. But when you look at actually the way New York votes, the southern half of the state dominates when it comes to who takes the electoral votes. Yeah. Because it works within the states. If the state... you have districts within the state, which then determine the districts that give to the federal. So the state districts in New York, generally the southern districts tend to override what the northern districts say. And then they give all of their electoral college votes to the liberal candidate. Yeah. A more fair system would be something like what Maine has. Maine splits their votes. There's another state that does it. I think it's Nebraska. I'm not sure about that. But what Maine does is Maine will split the vote depending. So if the state of Maine is split on who they want, they split their electoral college votes and give some to one candidate, some to the other guy. That'd probably be a more fair way of doing things.
I think so. I feel like, but then again, I heard from my father actually that the electoral college was made basically because at the time when the country was established, right? Yeah. There was a lot of non-educated people. You know what I mean? People who aren't educated. And when there are people who aren't educated voting, you know what I mean? You'll vote for whoever says the fucking biggest word. You know what I mean? And you just be like, fuck it, I'm going to just vote for him.
And that's how a lot of people do vote. And so the Electoral College does try to get rid of some of that. But really what it does is it consolidates the votes of an entire people into the votes of the state. So say my state has 3 Electoral College votes because we've got 2 senators and 1 representative. So the state of New York is going to have 2 senators plus however many representatives. That's how many votes they get. So you guys still have more votes than we do. You still are heavier when it comes into like the boxing match of the states.
Yeah.
But us having 3, everybody, the littlest, tiniest states having 3 no matter what is better than having 1 or none.
Yeah.
Because if it was truly based off of population, we'd probably have none.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's
at least
true.
1.
Or like less.
Yeah.
Let's say. So places like Montana and things like that.
Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, North, South Carolina, they
Yeah.
would get, if you really went off of population, those guys who live there would get screwed over by the rest of the country because they'd essentially have no say.
Man, we're getting political on your bitch asses today. We're letting you guys know there's some things going on that people need to read up on. You feel me?
Well, when Hillary Clinton lost the election to Donald Trump, she technically did win the popular
vote.
by
Yeah.
about, I forget the margin. It was a couple million votes.
That's definitely what a lot of people were talking about.
And a lot of people were bitching and complaining that, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. She should have been the president. Well, okay. But that's, if you take out some of the biggest cities out of the equation, if you take out New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, Hillary Clinton wouldn't have won the popular vote.
Really?
The highest concentration of voters, especially liberal voters, are in cities. So essentially what you would have is some states and cities within those states ruling how national politics go. And I don't think that's fair to the other little guys who live out in the country and who can't do that. Because like when you have major cities like LA, Chicago, New York deciding national political issues, that's not representative of everybody else and what everybody else believes in and wants.
But right? I feel like more people were upset because we have this luxury in America, right, where we literally switch leaders every 4 years. No riots, no real there's arguing, but it's like it's pretty peaceful transition of power every single time, right? So we don't understand that thing that Saddam Hussein getting he's staying in power for like every years he wants to stay in power, and then eventually
you can look at Venezuela, Chavez, and all these other recent dictators.
Exactly.
Castro, Chavez.
Those things we can't even understand it because we never lived in that type of scenario, right?
Yeah.
But then we have somebody in office right now, right? Where I personally feel a lot of people didn't understand that he was really serious when he was campaigning about the shit that he was saying. You know what I mean? They thought that he was going to stop tweeting. They thought he was going to stop talking all that bullshit and start being a president. But those things didn't happen. And that's why I feel like everybody wanted Hillary because they feel like it was a lesser of two evils. I don't like Hillary either. I voted for Bernie. Okay, and then I didn't vote in the
general.
Exactly, in the general election. But which is probably just as bad. I really don't give a fuck. But I was just people didn't expect Trump to really be how he was, and that's how I feel like he got into office. Do you disagree?
Yes and no. I think you're correct from that one spectrum of thinking. From the other spectrum, his base, the people who support him, they fully expected him to be that way when he got to office.
Really?
And that's why they elected him. Then you grew up in New York.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't see it as much as I did. I grew up in a very, very conservative rural part of the country where I grew up most of my childhood under Obama.
Yeah.
We both grew up under Obama.
Yeah.
Your viewpoint growing up under Obama was probably much different than mine because it was extremely negative towards Obama there. And that wasn't to say anything about the guy himself. It's just they really didn't like his politics and his policies. Certain things that the Obama era regulations did to hurt Western states were hurting coal. Coal is really big out west. Lumber, anything with the EPA. The EPA really hit the West hard with the Obama era. And then the Affordable Health Care Act, that really messed us up too because you have a lot of lower income families that could not afford the individual mandate, which Trump just undid the individual mandate. That alongside with an increase in racially motivated policies and politics coming out of the White House really led to a strong backlash, which is what I think created Donald Trump. Because this man would not have become president 8, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's now that you're seeing a rise in identity politics in the left.
Yeah.
And so it creates a rise in identity politics on the right.
Right.
And it's just a pendulum, you push
exactly.
hard one
I
way,
say that
and
pendulum
it swings right back.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's a pendulum, but I disagree in terms of certain things, right?
Yeah.
For instance, I feel like because I grew up in New York, a lot of people, and I grew up around a lot of black people, obviously, a lot of people felt like Obama didn't do enough for black people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, on some spectrum, some people are like, he's just always looking out for black people, not looking out for us. And then we're like, he's not looking out for us at all. You know what I mean? He's looking out for, like, he's just trying to be politically correct.
I don't think it was so much that Obama was looking out for or favoring blacks. That was an issue. I don't think that is the case at all.
Yeah.
The thing that became really an issue was how he interjected himself into more civil and domestic matters regarding race. Do you remember the Trayvon Martin shooting? All these guys. He would say, he said, I forget if it was Trayvon. It was one of those guys who got shot. He said, that could have been me, or that could have been my son. That kind of comment, maybe to the rest of the country, is like, oh,
he's talking for him.
He's being
empathetic.
But on another level, it can also look at the president as dabbing his toes in this pool of this race baiting fight that's going on, and I don't think that was received very well by a lot of people who maybe didn't understand his comments as he was trying to say. Because I look back at that and I say, okay, he's trying to be empathetic. He was trying to be more of a people's president and relate more to the people, but I think he could have gone about it in a different way. And I think he did. He may not have intentionally played the race card, but he did in such a way that it triggered a response of identity politics from the right.
But then you have to look at it like this, Grady, right? There were so many things going on back to back to back to back where it was almost impossible to ignore, right?
Yeah.
There was the Trayvon, there was Mike Brown,
there was so much stuff.
There was just so
Baltimore.
New Orleans. Yeah. There were just so many things going on back to back to back. As president, and especially as a black president, right? You only get one of those every couple years. You know what I mean? We went through how many presidents without having a black president? You would know.
Like
40,
38, 40 something.
Okay.
Up there in the high.
Yeah, exactly. We went through a long time without a black president, right? So, in essence, we expected when he got into office as a black male, him to speak on those issues that aren't really talked about in the White House. You know what I mean? That often. It just so happens that when he got in, camera phones and things took off. You know what I mean? And then you can see it. You know what I mean?
Everyone was personable.
Exactly. Everyone could see it. So it's impossible for you as a president, right, to look at something like that and literally not have any talk about it. Because, for instance, Trump did the same thing with the Charlottesville situation.
Yeah, he did.
And then people were like, whoa, what's going on with him? But I feel like the same people who were talking bad about Obama for doing his Trump comment didn't talk bad about Trump for making his comment.
Not. And that's one of the things that I really don't like to get into this politically. Like, I don't, because I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at the point where I'm like, this does not matter. We're $20 trillion in debt. We're in continuous war.
Yeah.
We're imprisoning our citizens for marijuana charges. What's that all about? And then people want to argue about what Trump said or what Obama said.
Yeah.
That really doesn't matter.
At the end of the day,
it's all to distract you from realizing the bigger issues out there.
Like net neutrality. You heard about net neutrality?
Yeah, net neutrality and all that.
Nobody even hears about this type of shit, bro. And it blows my mind.
Net neutrality is dead. No one's talking about it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard. The uproar is pretty much gone.
But all right, let's explain to the people what net neutrality was before.
So net neutrality was an Obama-era regulation by the FCC, the Federal Communications Committee, I think is what it is. Essentially what it did was it forced ISPs to treat all bandwidth equally. So ISPs were wanting to start maybe charging a little extra surcharge or whatnot for video streaming and heavy data like that. There are certain points of the day in the United States where Netflix takes up over half of all of the bandwidth in the United States. So that's a huge ton of resources that they're having to throw at Netflix. And they're not being able to throw at anyone else, so it's costing them a lot of money. So they wanted to start charging extra for packages like that. Obama said, no, we want to maintain the status quo that it has been since for a long time, which is that people treated all data the same. And so he enforced that maybe not he directly, but the FCC under him enforced that in a code called net neutrality, which regulated ISPs into treating data the same, regardless of what it was, if it was just some dinky little website or if it was data-heavy Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So what Ajit Pai and the FCC have done now is they have repealed that in hopes of going to a more free market approach.
So for the people who don't understand a lot of big words like ISP and shit like that, basically
ISP is an internet service provider.
Yeah,
that's like your
Verizon's,
all these guys who,
Optimum.
Yeah, these guys who provide you with the internet. We have EPB down here.
Yeah,
they do our ISP.
So basically, these companies can decide what they're gonna put on, what they're gonna allow you to search up. Basically,
it's not necessarily what they're gonna allow you to search up. It's more about turning it into more like TV, where you have to pay for certain packages.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be using data-heavy services like streaming services, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, that costs them more money than, say, you going to, I don't know, Facebook or CNN or Fox News, you know, versus these sites that are more text, that's less data than video or video gaming and stuff like that. So they want to...
they wanted to charge you to get on those YouTubes. Like, you had to get the premium package
sort
to
of,
get a
sort
YouTube.
of thing like that, because it costs them more money.
Yeah.
So they wanted to say, okay, we're losing money on YouTube and on Netflix. We've got to have some way to recuperate our losses.
Isn't that crazy how they're billion-dollar companies, they're rich as hell, and they can't just let a few things slide, like paying a little bit of extra penny to give some people some YouTube, you know what I mean? Basic stuff like that. How did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I always support free market and laissez-faire economics, but I think companies, especially ISPs, probably have a moral responsibility to give that freedom of access to people, because the internet is really the last frontier of free speech, is how I see it.
Exactly.
If the internet is ever to become regulated, we will essentially have lost all of our free speech and free expression as a people. You see this in countries that the government itself regulates what you can and can't say, not private companies. And so I think that if the American people really demanded net neutrality and demanded that things stay the same, then it would be fine. Because as a people, we are capable of leveraging our purchasing power. Right? You and I are worth a lot of money to these companies.
Yeah.
And if enough of us aren't happy, they're going to change the way they do things. So I don't foresee any big changes coming in the future. I don't think that they're going to change really. What they might do is they might just jack up the price for everybody a little bit. Because if you have a large customer base and you jack up the price for each customer just a tiny bit, that may cause enough revenue for you not to have to charge individual package prices, which is what I would rather see them do. I'd rather see my internet bill go up maybe $1 or $2 than have to pay a bunch extra for individual packages. Yeah.
But how did they resolve that? Is that done now?
Well, the regulations are gone, but it's up to the companies now to decide how they're going to handle this. So the companies are probably going to take a long time thinking about it, making plans, and doing the thing that is going to cause the consumer the least amount of freak out.
But do you feel like, right? All right, they say that it would just lead to competition, right? Yeah. Competition within the workplace. But I feel like certain big companies like that, competition isn't really the same level. Like, they monopolize on certain communities versus others.
We have antitrust, anti-monopoly laws on the books, and we haven't really had to use them since the turn of the last century. But I think we might have to be getting to that point with the internet, because of the way you look at the big guys, Google and Facebook. They pretty much control everything, man.
Yeah.
On the internet, they're buying up people all the time. Like, there are so many companies that are owned by Google and Facebook that you probably wouldn't even like.
Yeah, Google owns everything.
Facebook
Google owns YouTube.
Yeah, Google owns YouTube. Facebook owns Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, they acquired Instagram a couple of years ago.
I didn't know Facebook owns Instagram.
Yeah, they own VR.
That's why when you log on to Instagram, you could connect your Facebook and your Twitter and shit like that.
Yep.
Wow. So they're not losing money on. So they're basically monopolizing the social media market.
That's why Vine was killed.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah, I remember
because
Vine.
Facebook owns Instagram, Instagram owned Vine. You know, it's a chain.
Oh.
And it was just and it was competition with Facebook and Instagram. So they're like, no, just kill off the service. It's not generating enough revenue.
Mm-hmm. Which would be Vine. Vine was cool for a few years.
I liked Vine a lot. that was my high school, staying up late and watching stupid Vines.
Vine was cool for a little while, but now they have Instagram videos, it's basically the same shit, and it could be longer.
Yeah.
But what I use, honestly, bro, I don't even really be on Facebook anymore. I deleted Facebook and everything.
Really?
I'm mainly on Instagram now.
Yeah, I mainly use Instagram. I'll use Facebook mostly for like communicating with people, like club things or whatnot.
Yeah.
Work and stuff like that. But yeah, I hardly ever use Facebook.
And we were talking about it before I actually pressed record. Grady is in the fire brigade. He has his fireman regalia on right now.
Fire brigade, you sound British.
Man, when you're from, a lot of Jamaicans live in Britain.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
so
like
they say fire
England.
brigade.
So some people say fire brigade and stuff like that.
That's cool though.
Yeah. So basically, Grady is a volunteer firefighter. Super into that type of stuff. And tell them a little story about some of the stuff that you see here in Collegedale.
I've been to a couple house fires, been to some car fires, CPRs. Car crashes are always cool and interesting to see. Before we pressed record, we were talking about this car crash at Wendy's where a semi-truck smashed a sedan into the Wendy's sign.
Ugh.
I've had a guy go off the road and flip around several times, take out parts of a house and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, the fire department had to pull him out, extricate him from the car, and get the helicopter and fly him away. And so,
did you see anybody die yet?
I've had 3 people die.
Really?
So yeah. One, I was doing CPR on one of them, and she died on me. She was the only one that I had direct patient contact with that died. The other one was there was a house fire, and we lost a person, and then there was another CPR, but I wasn't doing CPR. I was just on scene.
Was that the first time you seen somebody die, like, close up?
No, my father is an ER doctor, and so I was kind of exposed a lot as a kid to more just mortality, I would say.
Yeah.
When I was maybe, I don't know, 10, I saw a motorcyclist get killed on the highway.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I was riding my bike, and there he was, dead.
So what was it like the first time you seen somebody die?
I don't really care. Like I honestly don't really get affected by it that much. I don't know what it is about me, but I mean, everybody's gonna die.
I feel like that's something new because I feel unless I'm connected to that person in some way, I really don't care. Like I remember the first time I saw somebody die, I was leaving my elementary school, and there was this guy just laid out on the pavement. I don't know what he died from. Whatever, maybe a drug overdose or something, because it was in a pretty rough neighborhood. Luckily, I didn't live there, but it was rough. And he was just laid out there, and it was very obvious that he was dead. And I don't know why, but in my mind, I just went to roadkill. I was like, man, like that's kind of like roadkill. This guy is like just on the side of the street. Like
a cartoon.
Like literally. But it's attributed to that, bro. Like it's only because we see death so much. I mean, not in reality as much as they used to. Like back in the day, they used to just see dead bodies on the street and it was just like whatever. Yeah. Like when people were dying in mass because of like plagues and like it's not like that. But like we are exposed to death like seeing somebody on TV just dead, seeing somebody shot. Nowadays on YouTube and stuff, just somebody dead is like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a friend who he gets off on seeing people get decapitated. Like gets off in a sexually way. It is so weird.
There's something wrong with that.
Bro, but there are people who are like that.
That's if you go and you read about serial killers, they have tendencies like they will like masturbate over a body or someone. That's what turns them on. So you watch out for that kid. Yeah.
I ain't gonna watch out for him because he already know what time. I'm calling Grady for that Second Amendment in this bitch. Like, I'm calling Grady for that Second Amendment.
We'll get you a gun too.
Bro, I'm definitely trying to get my permit before I leave.
How old are you right now?
I'm 20.
20. Okay. Are you a resident of the state of Tennessee or New York?
No, I'm a resident of New York. But I can't. Can I get my permit here?
Yeah, if you change your residency to Tennessee.
Really?
Because you've lived here long enough, and you can use the dorm as your permanent address.
Really?
Yeah, you need to get a Tennessee driver's license.
Okay.
And then you need to. They require, I think, an 8-hour course that you have to take.
Yeah, I knew that.
You have some classwork, and then you have to show them that you know how to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your permit.
I have to learn how to shoot first. I only shot a gun.
Hard.
I know it's not that hard, but I've only shot a gun maybe twice.
What kind?
Most times hair.
Were they rifles or handguns?
No, it was a handgun.
Okay.
And it was hair. Like, it was crazy. I was like, the power, you know what I mean? Like, when you first shoot a gun, man.
Yeah.
It is not much I can describe that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you feel like God. Like,
you have the ability to take somebody's life away. Even the person who was next. But I feel like it's too powerful sometimes. Because even the guy who was next to me, whose handgun it was, I was like, man, I could blow this motherfucker away right now. And what could he do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing. But I would never do that, obviously. But I feel like that's what separates the psychopaths and the people who shouldn't have guns, the people who should. Because you have this thing called discernment, you know, that a lot of people don't have as much of, you know, at least some of these crazy dudes.
No, well, you only shot handguns. Once you get into rifle shooting, that's when it gets really fun.
Really?
Shotguns too. If you don't shoot, you can go on YouTube and look up videos of like people shooting a 12 gauge shotgun for the first time. They just go flying on.
Yeah, it just goes flying. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like they'll get these little tiny girls, these shotguns, and like just, their boyfriends just laughing at them.
Yeah. Man, but some girl, I remember one time watching this video of this young little girl, I don't know how old she was, going through a shooting course.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Oh,
she
yeah.
was great. She was
lot
crazy.
Of kids are great. Like a lot of my friends grew up with guns. I mean, it's kind of a cultural thing. You grow up with a gun. Your dad teaches you how to use it, how to respect it. Mm-hmm. You get used to it. It's normal.
But I feel like that's so common in the South, though. So common in the South and maybe Midwest area.
I think that's more healthy, though.
Of course.
I think, if people have a healthy understanding of weapons and how they work and how dangerous they are, they'll be less likely to hurt themselves or others. Mm-hmm. You hear about a lot of these accidental shootings that go on where people don't really know what they're doing with the gun.
Of course not.
But you're like, why are you handling a firearm if you don't know what to do with it?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people who have firearms don't know, like, especially in New York, there's no real gun safety courses you can take. There's no dad to show you, hey, this is how you do this and that and the third, you know?
I'm sure if you go to a gun range or a gun store or something.
I mean, there's a gun store on my block, you know what I mean? There are gun stores and stuff, but the amount of regulation on getting a firearm, like, it makes people just not even want to bother to get it legally. I'll just buy it from my friend down the block, and this gun has like 4 bodies on it, but who cares, you know what I mean? That's how a lot of people think over there.
No, regulation generally just tends to drive things underground because there's always a market, right? People talk about the black market. Mm-hmm. I don't believe really in the idea of a black market as being separate. There's just the market. Mm-hmm. The government will suppress certain parts of the market and make it illegal per se, but it still exists. People still want things, so they're still going to get the things. Mm-hmm. Like we think about drugs now. During the 20s with the alcohol prohibition, there was the black market for alcohol. Well, I wouldn't call it a black market. It's just the market that the government forced to go underground.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the market goes underground, of course, then you've got absolutely no government regulation.
Because
all the government is doing is they try to regulate it, but they're really doing the opposite. They're not regulating it. Mm-hmm. Because people are still going to go under their nose and buy the drugs, buy the guns, buy whatever they want because they don't care.
But the thing about it is that a lot of people don't understand is that when you make it hard to get a gun, you're making it easier for bad guys to get guns. You know what I mean? You're making it way easier for somebody who really wants to get this gun to hurt people to have a gun because they don't care how they get it. It's the same thing with rape. They're making these laws, right?
Yeah, these anti-rape laws.
Yeah,
they're change a thing.
Because rape is rape. That's what they do.
Teach girls how to defend themselves.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty dope. Actually, make sure that most women
they have a class here.
Here?
Yeah, here at Southern Campus Safety teaches a anti-rape class for the girls.
Really?
Yeah, you can sign up. They teach one for the guys too.
I tried to sign. I don't think they emailed me back though.
Yeah, but I mean, I know they have it on the books. I've never taken it or known anyone who's taken it, but I know it exists.
I mean, I'm sure it exists.
But honestly, like the best anti-rape is just pull a Glock out of your hand,
your
purse, and be like,
exactly,
back up.
exactly. That's the best form of defense. But then it's like, then people are gonna complain about that, and I don't know.
Honestly,
man.
if you're complaining, like I see these stories all the time, right? These kids will break into a house and they're trying to steal stuff, and the homeowner shoots them dead.
Try and move the
like this.
Yeah, so it like faces the top of the mic is very omnidirectional. So if it faces you,
Sure.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's just kind of awkward to hold it like this.
Exactly.
No, but like you'll hear about these kids who break into houses trying to steal stuff, and the homeowner shoots them and kills them. And then their family complains that, it's not fair. It's not fair. They're breaking into houses.
Yeah.
Teach your kids not to break into people's houses. Maybe they won't get shot.
Exactly. I think that once you decide to do a crime, right?
Yeah.
You have now opened yourself up to all the repercussions that come with that crime. You know what I mean? For instance, if I decide to try and rob somebody and they have a gun, right? And they shoot me.
It's fair game.
Why would you try and rob them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe do a little bit more research about who you're robbing before you rob them, bro.
And that's why people generally tend to go hit areas that they know are gun free or that they know don't have a lot of police presence.
Exactly.
Because like these kids who go rob these houses, they're not thinking about the gun owner. They're thinking about the cops, right? If you're gonna go commit a crime, you're probably not thinking about the average guy on the street. You're thinking, okay, how do I escape the cops? If the average guy on the street is able to stop you, that's a level you weren't prepared for, man.
Exactly.
You're caught off guard. You're screwed.
I mean, there will always, and let me make this clear, there will always be crime. You know what I mean? There will never be a point in history where there's nobody committing any types of crime. But what we're trying to figure out is how to make the amount of crimes that happen less and less and less. And people don't understand that there can be steps in the right direction with everything. With rape, there can be steps in the right direction. As we said, we make girls know how to defend themselves. We teach guys to that no means no. Keep your hands to yourself. You know what I mean? And we we make laws not to protect girls, but to protect guys who don't rape. You know what I mean?
These false rape allegations and everything out there.
Exactly. Just make laws. Because what we don't understand is that regardless of who you are, if you're a rapist, you're going to rape, period. You know what I mean? So you need to make laws to protect those who don't rape. You know what I mean? And to help them not fall into the trap of, she said no, but her body said yes. I ain't falling for that trap no more, Grades. You're a single guy, so you're out. You
fall into that before?
I mean, listen, bro. When you're younger, you know what I mean? You hear a girl say, you always taught like sometimes a girl says no, you know what I mean? But if her body language says yes, it's another situation.
I will always play it to look like I'm stupid. If I don't like, if the girl says no and her body language says yes, I'd rather piss her off and look like I'm dumb and don't know, like I'm getting her hints.
Yeah.
Potentially do something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
I agree.
Whenever it's a no, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm done.
From your whole life though, even growing up?
Yeah, my parents, I mean, they didn't really, I mean, yeah, they taught me no means no, of course, but yeah, my whole raising was that if somebody says they don't like this or they don't want it, then don't do it. Yeah. I was never taught the whole thing about, a girl's body language. She says no, because that wasn't really the kind of home or situation I was raised in. It was more of respect everybody. Yeah. And as long as you respect everybody, they'll sort of respect you back. And so I think that's part of that respect. If a girl says no, okay, maybe she actually does want it, but she's saying no, and you say okay, then maybe she'll like, all right, this guy's a square, you know. He doesn't, exactly. He doesn't want it, but you might have better luck with another girl who doesn't that say respect exactly and sees okay, he actually is like taking my feelings into consideration. And
but that's a wifey, Grady. You know, there's a difference out here.
That's what I'm looking for.
You know, there's a difference. I mean, Grady.
I know there's a difference.
You're a nice guy though, so you're looking for that for a nice girl. But some of these Some of these girls out here, man, they ain't looking for a nice guy.
I don't want no hoes. I'll pass them off to you.
To me, I'm in a relationship.
Oh yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I'm in a relationship.
Who's not in a relationship? Who we can pass the hose to?
Steph. We can pass all the hoes to Steph.
Yeah.
All of the hoes belong to
it's
Steph.
Just like,
bro.
That meme that I think is always so funny, like "be gone, thought." Like I always have to just think that in my head. Like whenever I'm talking to some girl and she's like, I'm like, no, Grady, don't do it. Be gone, thought.
Find yourself in a really bad situation.
Yeah, and there have been situations like that I could have gone into, and I luckily have been pretty good about stopping myself.
Really?
But, I'm sure there's going to be one of those days where I'm just given to the temptation.
Oh, yeah, there's, of course, but
I'd rather not go down that road.
Bro, it's safer on that end, bro.
It is.
Trust me.
People will be like, nah, man, like, a lot of people like to party and like to do all that kind of stuff, and they enjoy that, but I really just try to play life safe,
Listen, that's the right way to live. That's definitely the right way to live. But Grady, I know you got to go soon. I enjoy it. Listen, I'm going to put this at the beginning of the podcast too. If you're not here to learn some shit, don't listen to this episode. You know what I mean? We talked about a lot of deep shit. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff that people don't know about, that people need to hear about, but most likely a lot of people won't even give the time, to really understand that these are things that affect all of us as Americans, not just black people, not just white people, but all of us as American citizens. And these are conversations that need to be had, especially with an intellectual man like yourself who reads up on these things. Listen, he reads up on things like this. I don't read up on things like this. I'm not the most political savvy crayon
we got to
in the box.
get you more involved in reading, man, and more involved in politics.
Let me know, man. I mean, I'm trying my best. I'm trying the little things like this, try and help.
We're having a bonfire in a couple hours.
I was about to say, what do you
want to come up? Yeah, we're having a club bonfire with food and stuff at the student park in 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, BCU?
Before BCU, so we're gonna end and then go to BCU night.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll definitely pull up to that for a little while. I got I'm recording one more episode today, but what time does it start?
5.
Okay, yeah, that's good with me because I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'll text you, but I'll let you know what's going on exactly.
Definitely. All right, so we're about to tune out. We talked political talk with Grady, and we're going to let Meek Mill take us out on this one, man. Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill, the intro.
I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. In a matter of time I spent on some locked up shit in the back of the paddy wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it. Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready? I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. In a matter of time I spent on some locked up shit in the back of the paddy wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it with a clear eye view. Got shorty, she try and bless me like I said I